What's good, y'all? Wave Magnetik here, and I'm back. Gonna give you a little bit of insight in my production process, and letting you know how I do things. This right here is my top 10 plugins for 2020 for being a producer. So like, there's a few that I use all the time. There's only a few plugins that you really need. So like, you need yourself a really good synthesizer that you can get the sounds that you want out of it, and then you need some stuff to be able to manipulate it, basically, and to manipulate vocals so that you can get the sound that you want out of your vocals, or trumpet. For me, trumpet, guitar, whatever you play. Okay, so my number one synthesizer that I use is Serum. Now, I know this isn't like a new thing, like everybody loves Serum, but I use Serum because I bought it and I don't really want to buy another one. That's why I bought it, because you can do so much with it. I mean, you can make analog kind of sounds with it, you can make real crazy sounds with it. Everybody knows about Serum, but this one is definitely in my top 10 for 2020. You can make anything you need with this, pretty much. Let's see here. Another synth. Well, it's not really a synth. I really like Addictive Keys, the piano plugin, because you need a good piano sound. Most people, I mean, you're going to use piano at some point in your productions, and a lot of times the stock piano sound in different DAWs kind of sound like trash. Or, I mean, it ain't always trash, but it's I mean, this sound good. I mean, this is really good. So I would definitely suggest the Addictive Keys plugin. I use this a lot, actually. It's on a lot of my songs. The next synthesizer, well, sort of, is Kick 2. Man, I love Kick 2. With Kick 2, you can really like get in and get the fine detail of the sounds that you want to use to get that kick to be perfect. So like, when you're using samples, you can put a sample in there, and then you can find a sample that kind of works, and you just rock with it, and it could be dope. It could be like perfect, whatever. But what I find is, when I make my own sound with Kick, it's more of like myself in the song. Like, I made this sound. This is my sound. And I really like the way Kick 2, that makes it really simple. I mean, you just mess with this here, and you can change here to get the sound be different. You can mess around with all of this stuff. You can shorten it. You can elongate it. I mean, this is way too long, but you can mess around with it. You can do anything you want to. So Kick 2 is definitely on my list. Now, another thing that's on my list is the LFO tool. Now, if you don't know, the LFO tool is a plugin that basically ducks sounds. Really, it could do more than that, but if you want to get a pumping sound, if you have like a house track, you got the kick going down, and this thing will, it'll make it so that the volume goes down on all 4 beats. Now, you can change it so it's a quarter note. You can change it to be half note. You can change a bar. You can change it to different things. So I use this to really get the pumping sound. And it's not always just for like house tracks. I use it in different instances to get creative sounds out of it. So I recommend the LFO tool. There's a bunch of different ones. Waves has one called the Pumper. Some people use the Nicky Romero one. Those are all fine. I like LFO tool, and it was cheap. Man, need some water. Another one of my favorites is the RC20. This is dope right here. Who makes this? This is a is it XLN? Yeah, XLN Audio's RC20. This is really cool because it really gets you makes it able for you to make a like a retro kind of sound. You can make stuff sound like it was from a record. You can make stuff sound like it's from tape. I mean, there's a bunch of options. Yeah, so there's a bunch of options that you can do with this thing. I mean, you add distortion with it. This right here changes the sound, like the pitch, so it'll give you this wobbly kind of sound, which is on a lot of cassette tapes, or not just cassette, just tape in general. So on a lot of, I mean, I don't know all the answers in terms of like every actual device it was on, but it gives it a vintage sound, and it really makes stuff sound dope. It kind of fucks stuff up in a good way. So I would definitely recommend the RC20. The next one on my list is Decapitator. This has been my go-to distortion plug-in for years. Nobody's topped it. Decapitator, you can get anything you need done with Decapitator. Distortion wise, that's all you need. I mean, you got the 5 choices here, and you just turn the daggone drive up. You fuck around with the tone and get it to be what you want it to be. Done. Simple. I love Decapitator. Really makes it so that it'll bring out different parts of the sound that you wouldn't normally hear, and it just makes the sound more energetic. So there really is a bunch of creative ways you can use this. For me, this is my go-to. Next one on my list is another Sound Toys plugin, little Microchip. Now, this seems really weird. It's really simple. I mean, this is kind of like a chorus-ish kind of thing. It's almost like a chorus. I don't know. I'm not really sure what it does, but it makes stuff wide, and it does it in a way that is pleasing. I mean, and then when you fold it in, it doesn't like, I guess what's the word? It's mono-compatible. It makes stuff wide in a very nice way. So I use this to widen sounds that are usually pretty narrow. And it kind of gives a chorusy kind of sound, sort of. My next plugin is the SSL Channel from Waves. Now, for me, a good channel strip plugin like this is kind of all you really need. Like, if you had this, you could mix a whole album with just this, or a whole track with just this one plugin, and you'd be fine. But I like this one in particular because of the way the compression is. It sounds different on here than it does in different SSL plugins that are from different manufacturers. Like I have the IK Multimedia, the TRex one. That's cool. I can get that to work because it has some features in that the Waves one doesn't have, which are really cool. But I like this because it really gets my drums to be right. You need something. So some people use the what's the things called? A transient shaper. Some people use transient shapers to make their drums to be snappy. Now, that's one approach. That right there makes it so that the attack gets louder. So it makes the attack loud, or it makes the attack soft. Okay. Now, if you do it with a compressor, it's a little bit different because you make the attack time of the compressor slow enough to let the attack of the instrument go past it, and then it makes the tail quieter, which in turn turns up the attack and turns down the tail, just like a transient shaper would do. But it does it differently, and it actually sounds differently. I prefer the way to do it with the compression rather than doing it with a transient shaper. 90% of the time, that's what I prefer. Every once in a while, I'll use a transient shaper, but mostly I just rock with this. So you got EQ. You can mess with. You got the highs, mids, lows, and when I'm doing this, you got fast attack and you got slow attack. That's all you need. get the right amount of compression, boom, SSL done. Let's see here. My next favorite right here is another compressor. And this one is a TRex one, which is amazing. I love this compressor. Okay, I love this compressor. This is a copy of a 1176. Now, every company has their own version of this, basically. But with this one in particular, I love this one because it has the link function right here. If you hit this button right here, now it makes it so that left and right channels are doing their compression on their own. So basically what that means is if you want a sound that's got a little bit of stereo energy in it to be more wide, you decouple the different sides so they do it on their own. They compress on their own, and now the sound sounds wider, but it's definitely going to be mono compatible. It's not putting some weird thing on it to make it be wide. It's just compressing the sides differently at different times, and then it makes it sound wider, but it's still solid at the same time. It's not out of control. So I love this, and it brings out the detail of the sound. A lot of times people will just have like a bass sound or something, or a synth, or a lead or something, and they'll just have it there, and they'll maybe put a little distortion on it, and then that's the sound. Sometimes it's cool like that, but try putting some compression on it. Really bring out the detail of that sound. Really bring it out. It changes it just enough to sparkle the ears. Fuck with it. I love this one. So for mastering, my go-to these days is if this thing will open, Ozone 8. Yep, that's what I use. Forget Ozone 9. Ozone 9 is cool, but it's not better than this. I mean, there's a few more stuff. There's a few more, I guess, features that are in it that this doesn't have, which is cool. I mean, if you're mastering other people's music, then there's a few features in that are kind of cool, because you kind of can rebalance their track for them. But if you're mastering your own music, you shouldn't have to do that. You just change the mix. You just change the fucking mix. I mean, like, come on now. You don't need all that stuff. All you need is this amazing limiter, this amazing EQ. You got a little multi-band here. Most of the time, my setup will be run through the vintage limiter first, just to get the peaks. Do some EQ, throw some dynamics on it. I do an imager. Actually, I usually mix through the imager, but I still use. Oh no! I'm sorry. I don't use the imager. I use the exciter. I mix through this. The exciter is amazing. What's amazing about the exciter is that, you know what? You can do it in mid-side mode. So I use the exciter. A lot of people use this imager to make their songs wide, which is fine because that's what they do, and they get their sound, they making their money. But I don't do that. What I do is I use the exciter, and I make my sounds wide by using the exciter. It's amazing. I love the way this sounds. So you can do the side different, the mid different. You can change all of the different kinds of distortion and stuff. It's amazing. And then this maximizer, 90% of the time I'm using IRC3, and 90% of the time I have it on crisp. That's usually what I have it on. Every once in a while it might be different, but most of the time that's what my tracks are running through. So yeah. So I think that was 10 right there. That was all 10 of them. Yeah, man. Shoot, those are my favorite plugins for producers for 2020. And you know what? I give you another bonus. Okay, don't sleep on your DAW's stock plugins. Seriously, because sometimes those are really great. Like, for example, in Ableton, the reverb. People hate on this reverb. It's fucking amazing. I love this reverb. I mean, I get sounds really fast with this. And the other thing that I use a lot is Wavetable. The synthesizer that's inside of Ableton is great. I mean, Wavetable is a really great synthesizer. I get a lot of good sounds. It kind of works like Serum, but with a few less options. And I just use this sometimes to make sounds fast because I just don't feel like messing around with Serum trying to get the right sound. I just tweak it up and then it's done. You know. So those are my plugins. Go test those out. See which ones work for you. If you like what you heard, you learned something new, make sure you hit the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you know when I put up another video. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.